Yes, Mr. Chair. Good morning, sir. We are now ready, sir. We can now officially start the meeting.
Okay, go ahead, continue. Roll call.
Thank you, sir. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Bids and Awards Committee meeting for November 15, 2022. For our attendance for today, kindly acknowledge once your name is called. For our chairperson, Captain Edgardo G. Diaz. Sir, good morning. Vice Chairperson, Attorney Roberto Martin Buenaventura. He is still connecting. Um, Engineer Arnold Balucating, who is on leave right now. Engineer Arnel Borlado, who is currently on travel. Um, Miss Amneris Gabriel, ma'am, Vani.
Always the best, the
Good morning,
Philippines
ma'am
is
Vani. Uh,
great. Everyone, give me a number four.
Sir Elmer, good morning, sir.
Present. Good morning.
For our provisional members, we have from CSIS, General Ricardo Banayat, sir. Good morning. From
Present, sir.
ANS, we have Sir
Good morning,
Florian
sir.
Atienza. We
Good
have
morning
from
po.
we have from ATS and ADMS. Also present for today, sir, are members from the BAC Technical Working Group and BAC Secretariat. We also sent notice of to our observers from Commission on Audit and or PCI, NGO, PICE, EAS, and PCAI. Considering, Mr. Chair, that we have four of the seven members, so majority of the members are here, so we do have a quorum, sir.
All right, so we have a quorum. This meeting is called to order. So let us proceed with the items.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Moving on to item 2.1, this is the pre-bid conference for the project improvement rehabilitation of third floor admin building rebid under bid number 22-003-09 amounting to 21,112,793 pesos and 09 centavos. This is an ADMS project, and for the technical working group from ADMS, Engineer Sheldon Ceballos will present on behalf of the technical working group. And I think, sir, we have prospective bidders for this project. Um, may we request permission, sir, to admit prospective bidders?
Okay, proceed.
Secretariat, please kindly admit the prospective bidders. Go ahead, Engineer Sheldon.
Can you hear me clearly?
Good morning, Mr. Chair and the members of the Bids and Awards Committee. Um, I'll be presenting the documents for the pre-bidding of improvement rehabilitation of third floor admin building with bid number 22-003-09. This is a rebid. This is CAAP APP Fund under CAAP APP Fund CY 2022 with an approved budget for the contract of 21,112,793 pesos and 9 cents. For this project, we will be needing the minimum technical personnel with one project civil engineer, one electrical engineer, one master electrician, one master plumber, and one construction safety and health officer. For the equipment, we will be needing one unit portable welding machine, and for the required pickup license is a small B, license category C and D for building and industrial plant. The project has a duration of 165 calendar days. Applicable fee for this project is 11,200, inclusive of 12% VAT. For the instruction to bidders, bidders are required to secure certificate of site inspection or the Annex B Form 1, which is duly signed by Lieutenant Colonel Valentino A. Janela of ADMS or his duly authorized representative, which is required to be submitted. This shall include all the following documents as attachment to the certificate of site inspection and shall form part of the bidder's technical documents. First is the copy of company ID of the person who conducted the site inspection. Second is the copy of the airport or the facilities logbook. With the entry of the name and signature of the person who conducted the site inspection. Then, okay. Mr. Chair, I would like to pause for a while. I'll have to. I think my slides is not moving. I'll double check.
Okay, question. Are you seeing the slides?
I would like to. Is everyone recognizing? Okay.
I cannot read. It's too small. It's too small.
Permission to proceed, Mr. Chair.
Teka muna, your slide is too small. I cannot even see that.
Ano eh?
Same here, sir. Masyado maliit.
Yeah, and when you started, the slides is frozen on the first page.
Skip mo. Okay. Skip ito. Sulak lang, 100%.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay? Okay na? Sorry. Sorry for that. Again, this project, this presentation is for the pre-bid conference of the improvement, rehabilitation of third floor admin building, the rebid, with an approved budget for the contract of 21,112,793 pesos and 9 cents. With the following technical personnel requirement and major equipment requirement. For the pickup license requirement is a small B license category C and D for building and industrial plant. Again, the duration for the project is 165 calendar days. Also, requirement for the bidders to secure certificate of site inspection or the Annex B Form 1, which is duly signed by Lieutenant Colonel Valentino Janela of the ADMS or his duly authorized representative, which is required to be submitted. This shall include all the following documents as attachment to the certificate of site inspection and shall form part of the bidder's technical documents. First is the copy of company ID of the person who conducted the site inspection. Second is the copy of the airport or the facility visitor's logbook with the entry of the name and signature of the person who conducted the site inspection. And third is the picture of the proposed site, including the personnel who conducted the site inspection, together with the airport manager or the officer in charge or his duly authorized representative. Note that bids not complying with the above instruction shall be disqualified. Presenting to you the samples of the certificate of site inspection, the company ID, and the logbook. Another requirement for this project, the bidder must have an experience of having completed a single largest completed contract or the SLCC that is similar to this project, equivalent to at least 50% of the ABC. For this purpose, contracts similar to the project refer to contracts which have the same major categories of work, which shall be building construction, improvement, rehabilitation, or repair. And the BC again is 21,112,793 pesos and 9 cents. Subcontracting for this project is not allowed. And bidder shall submit all eligibility and technical documents as specified in Section 10 or the checklist of technical and financial documents, which will be discussed later. For ITB Clause 10.3 requirement, valid pickup license or special pickup license in case of joint ventures and registration. Again, it's a small B, license category C and D for vertical works, building, and industrial plant. For the type and cost of the contract to be bid. Bids not complying with the above instructions shall be disqualified. And requirement for ITB Clause 11.2, bid exceeding the ABC of the project shall be disqualified. For ITB Clause 15.1 requirement, the bid security shall be in a form of a bid securing declaration or any of the following forms and amounts. The amount of not less than 422,255 pesos and 86 cents or 2% of ABC. If bid security is in cash, cashier's or manager's check, or bank guarantee, a bank draft or guarantee, or irrevocable letter of credit. Or the amount of not less than 1,055,639 pesos and 66 cents or the 5% of ABC if bid security is in surety bond. ITB Clause 16 requirement. Please take note that each and every page thereof shall be initialed or signed by the duly authorized representatives of the bidder. Submitted eligibility, technical, and financial documents shall be properly marked with index tabs or ear tab and must be sequentially paginated in accurate order in the form, for example, page 3 of 100. Page number of last page of the document. It is per envelope basis. Pagination should be sequential based on the entire span of the whole documents inside the envelope. Please note that bids not complying with the above instruction shall be disqualified. Here is the sample of the table of content, the index tab or the year tab, the document with initial or signature of the representative, and the pagination. So again, bids not complying with the above instructions shall be automatically disqualified. Also, each bidder shall submit one copy of the first and second components of its bids per ITB Clause 16. Bids not complying with the above instructions shall be automatically disqualified. For this project, per ITB Clause 19.2, partial bid is not allowed. The infrastructure project is packaged in a single lot and the lot shall not be divided into sublots for the purpose of bidding, evaluation, and contract award. For the special condition of the contract, in case of permanent structures such as buildings of types 4 and 5 as classified under the National Building Code of the Philippines and other structures made of steel, iron, or concrete which comply with the relevant structures code, for example, the DPWH standard specifications such as but not limited to steel, concrete, bridges, flyovers, aircraft movement areas, ports, dams, tunnels, filtration and treatment plants, sewerage systems, power plants, transmission and communication towers, railway system, and other similar permanent structures. It is 15 years. Therefore, the GCC Clause 13, the amount of the advance payment shall not exceed 15% of the total contract price. However, per department or the Department of Transportation policy, procuring entity will not give advance payment to contractors. For GCC Clause 15.2, the amount to be withheld for failing to produce as-built or as-built drawings and or operating and maintenance manuals by the date required is 2% of the contract. As for the checklist of technical and financial documents, for technical component envelope, Class A documents, for legal documents, first is the valid field jobs registration certificate, platinum membership, all pages. Next is the registration certificate from Securities and Exchange Commission, DTI for sole proprietorship or CDA for cooperatives or its equivalent document. Third is the mayor's or business permit issued by the city or municipality where the principal place of business of the prospective bidder is located, or the equivalent document for exclusive economic zones or areas. Fourth is the tax clearance per EO number 398, series of 2005, as finally reviewed and approved by the Bureau of Internal Revenue. For technical component envelope, technical documents, first is the statement of the prospective bidder of all its ongoing government and private contracts, including contracts awarded but not yet started, if any, whether similar or not similar in nature and complexity to the contract to be bid. This is an Annex A, Form 1 of the bid documents. Second is the statement of the bidder's single largest completed contract, or the SLCC, similar to the contract to be bid, except under conditions provided under the rules, which is Annex A, Form 2 of the bid documents. Third is the Philippine Contractors Accreditation Board or the PCAB license or special PCAB license in case of a joint venture and registration for the type and cost of the contract to be bid and joint resolution. This is Annex A Form 3. Again, the required PCAB license for the project is small b, license category C and D for building and industrial plant. Fourth is the original copy of bid security. If in a form of surety bond, submit also a certification issued by the Insurance Commission or original copy of notarized bid securing declaration. This is Annex B, Form 2 of the bid document. And the fifth requirement is the project requirements, which shall include the following. First is the organizational chart for the contract to be bid, Annex B, Form 3. The list of contractors' key personnel, for example, project manager, project engineers, materials engineers, and foreman, which is to be assigned to the contract to be bid with their complete qualification and experience data. This is Annex B, Form 4, 5A, 5B, and 5C of the bid documents. And third requirement for the project requirement is the list of contractors' major equipment units, which are owned, leased, and or under purchase agreements, supported by proof of ownership or certification of availability of equipment from the equipment lessor or vendor for the duration of the project, as the case may be. This is Annex B, Form 6 of the bid documents. Another requirement is the original duly signed Omnibus Sworn Statement, or OSS, which is Annex B, Form 7 of the bid documents, and if applicable, original notarized secretary certificate in case of a corporation, partnership, or cooperative, or original special power of attorney of all members of the joint venture, giving full power and authority to its officer to sign the OSS and do acts to represent the bidder. And these shall include all the following documents as attachment to the omnibus sworn statement: certification under oath attesting that they have no pending case or cases against the government, in addition to the eligibility requirements as prescribed under the 2016 revised implementing rules and regulations of RA 9184. Second is the legal clearance to be issued by the CAAP Enforcement and Legal Service with respect to the non-pending cases of the prospective bidders against this authority. Please note that in case of a joint venture, each member of the joint venture shall secure each legal clearance from the CAAP Enforcement and Legal Service. And third is the bid bulletins, if applicable. Next requirement for the technical documents is the certificate of site inspection, Annex B, duly signed by, I'm sorry, to correct, this is not, this Lieutenant Colonel Valentino Junela. Of ADMS, or his duly authorized representative. Sorry for that. This shall include all the following documents as attachment to the certificate of site inspection: copy of company ID of the person who conducted the site inspection, copy of the airport or facility visitor's logbook, and picture of the proposed site, including the personnel who conducted the site inspection together with the airport manager or the officer in charge or his duly authorized representatives, as presented earlier. For the financial documents, the bidder is required to submit the the prospective bidder's audited financial statement showing, among others, the prospective bidder's total and current assets and liabilities stamp received by the BIR or its duly accredited and authorized institutions for the preceding calendar year, which should not be earlier than 2 years from the date of bid submission, and the prospective bidder's computation of net financial contracting capacity, or the NFCC. For Class B documents, if applicable, duly signed joint venture agreement in accordance with RA number 4566 and its IRR in case the joint venture is already in existence, or duly notarized statements from all the potential joint venture partners stating that they will enter into and abide by the provisions of the GVA in the instance that the bid is successful. Another requirement for the financial component of the envelope is the original of duly signed and accomplished financial bid form. Other documentary requirements under RA 9184 is the original or duly signed bid prices in the bill of quantities, the summary of bid proposal. First is Annex C Form 1, the second is Annex C Form 2, and the bill of materials and cost estimate, which is Annex C Form 3, and summary sheet indicating the bid prices and of construction materials, labor rates, and equipment rentals used in the coming up with the bid. This is Annex C, Form 4, 5, and 6. And cash flow by quarter and payment schedule. For the project details, scope of work. First is the structural works, including the demolition of 1,804.98 square meter, concrete and masonry works of 15.09 square meter, structural works 1.03, steel works of 1,986.68 kilograms. And for the architectural works, including the tile works of 1,102 square meter, for the carpentry works, a coverage of 327 square meter, painting works 517.89 square meter, doors and windows, including 23 sets of doors and 8 sets of window. And also including the 97 sets of signages. For the electrical, this includes the lighting and power conduit fittings of 2,307 linear meter, wires and cables, 55 rolls, electrical wiring devices of 246 sets, then lighting fixtures, 402 sets, 441 pieces of boxes and pull boxes, 291 linear meter of air conditioning units, conduits and fittings, air conditioning units, conduits and fittings, wires and cables, data and telephone system conduits and fittings, data and telephone system wires and cables, data and telephone system electrical wiring devices, data and telephone system boxes and pull boxes, grounding system, panel board, circuit breaker and wire gutter, feeder or sub feeder wires and cables, feeder, sub feeder conduits and fittings, hangers, supports and termination accessories, and transformer assembly. For mechanical works, air conditioning unit, piping, hangers, and support, including 8 sets of 3 horsepower inverter ceiling cassette split type air conditioning unit, 5 sets of 2.5 horsepower inverter ceiling cassette split type air conditioning unit, 1 set of 3.5 HP outdoor unit, 2 HP indoor unit, 1.5 HP indoor unit inverter multi-split wall mounted type air conditioning unit. 1 set of 2.5 HP outdoor unit, 1.5 HP indoor unit, and 1 HP indoor unit inverter multi-split wall mounted type air conditioning unit. This also includes ventilation, equipment, and accessories. 8 sets. For plumbing works, this includes the sewer line and water line. And also the fixtures, 43 sets. For this project, all scopes of work for this item must be in accordance with the approved plans and specifications. Quality and types of materials must be conformed to specification and must be approved by the project in charge of the CAAP. The contractor shall be responsible in providing personal protective equipment for staffs and workers and safety inspectors for safety engineers on site while construction is ongoing. Regular safety report should be accomplished. The contractor shall be responsible for all permits necessary in the project implementation. All expenses shall be incorporated in the constructor's overhead costs and shall be considered as pay item. Also reminding all the bidders with the financial component envelope requirement with from original duly signed bid prices in the bill of quantities, the summary of bid proposal, the bill of materials and cost estimates, the summary sheets, alteration or variation of the form shall be grounds for disqualification. And going back, presenting to you the perspective, the interior perspective for this project. The demolition plan, the layout plan for this project, the detailed sections, again, bidders, you may also visit our bid documents for the detailed requirements of this project, which we might have missed in the presentation. And that's all, Mr. Chair, for this project.
At this point, sir, the technical working group and the end user are now ready to accept questions from our prospective leaders, if there is any.
Any questions
Do we
from
have questions from prospective leaders? Well, if there is none, we would just like to remind our prospective bidders that you still have the opportunity to raise your questions or clarifications in writing 10 days prior to the opening of bids in order for the secretariat, for the technical working group and the end user to prepare a reply to your questions. Um, Hearing Mr. Chair, no questions or clarifications, sir. The technical working group is now recommending to close this matter and proceed to the next item, sir.
Okay, proceed.
Okay. Um, Secretariat, please kindly remove the prospective bidders in our meeting room. Mr. Chair, moving to item 2.2, this is a pre-bid conference for the supply delivery of multi-test instrument calibrator for ANS Technical Center. This is also a rebid with CAAP project number ID 22-006-09, an ANS project, and uh, Engineer Florian Artienza will be presenting on behalf of of the end user, and may we request Secretariat to please admit prospective leaders.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, prospective bidders. Welcome to the CAAP pre-bid conference for the project Supply and Delivery of Multi-Test Instrument Calibrator for ANS Technical Center. This is a rebid in bid number 22-006-09. For the outline, we have the invitation to bid, instruction to bidders with corresponding BDS, general conditions of the contract with corresponding special conditions of the contract, schedule of requirements, technical specifications, checklist, and finally the discussion or clarification. For the invitation to bid, the Civil Aviation Authority of the Philippines, CAAP, through the CAAP Corporate Operating Budget for FY 2022, intends to apply the total sum of 5,250,000 pesos being the approved budget for the contract to payments under the contract for supply and delivery of multi-test instrument calibrator for ANS Technical Center. For the description, it's one multi-test instrument calibrator set complete with accessories and capable of calibrating the following test and measuring instruments: analog and digital handheld and bench multimeters up to 6.5 digits, graphical multimeters, current clamp meters, analog and digital handheld and bench oscilloscope up to 600 megahertz bandwidth, thermocouples and resistance meters, and panel meters. Bids received in excess of the ABC shall be automatically rejected at bid opening. The CAAP now invites bids for the above procurement project. Delivery of goods is required within 180 calendar days. Bidders should have completed within 7 years from the date of submission and receipt of bids a contract similar to the project. The description of an eligible bidder is contained in the bidding documents, particularly in Section 2 of the instructions to bidders. Bidding will be conducted through open, competitive bidding procedures using a non-discretionary pass-fail criterion as specified in the 2016 Revised Implementing Rules and Regulations of Republic Act Number 9184. Bidding is restricted to Filipino citizens or sole proprietorships, partnerships, or organizations with at least 60% interest or outstanding capital stock belonging to citizens of the Philippines and to citizens or organizations of a country, the laws or regulations of which grant similar rights or privileges to Filipino citizens pursuant to RA number 5183. Prospective bidders may obtain further information from BAC Secretariat of CAAP, Mia Road, Pasay City, and inspect the bidding documents at the address given below during office hours from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. from Monday to Friday, except declared holidays, weekends, and suspension of work. A complete set of bidding documents may be acquired by interested bidders on September 23 or from September 23 until the deadline of submission of bids from the given address and website below, and upon payment of the applicable fee for the bidding documents pursuant to the latest guidelines issued by the GPPB in the amount of 11,200 pesos, inclusive of VAT. The procuring entity shall allow the bidder to present its proof of payment for the fees through email. The CAAP will hold a pre-bid conference on November 15, 2022 at 10 a.m. through video conferencing or webcasting Google Meet application, which shall be open to prospective bidders who will coordinate with the BAC Secretariat for the Google Meet link. Bids must be duly received by the BAC Secretariat through manual submission at the office address indicated below on or before November 29, 2022 at 2 p.m. Late bids shall not be accepted. All bids must be accompanied by a bid security in any of the acceptable forms and in the amount stated in ITB Clause 14. Bid opening shall be on November 29, 2022 at 2 p.m. at the given address below and or via video conferencing Google Meet application. Bids will be opened in the presence of the bidders' representatives who choose to attend the activity. The CAAP reserves the right to reject any and all bids, declare a failure of bidding, or not award the contract at any time prior to contract award in accordance with sections 35.6 and 41 of the 2016 revised IRR of the RA 9184 without thereby incurring any liability to the affected bidder or bidders. For further information, please refer to Engineer Leandro R. Varquez, Head, BAC Secretariat, Civil Aviation Authority of the Philippines, Mia Road, Pasay City. Our website is www.caap.gov.ph and telephone number 7944-2358. You may also visit the following websites for downloading of bidding documents: the www.philjeps.gov.ph, and our CAAP website. For the instruction to bidders with corresponding BDS, for the scope of bid, the procuring entity CAAP wishes to receive bids for the supply and delivery of multi-test instrument Calibrator for ANS Technical Center. The procurement project is composed of one lot, the details of which are described in Section 7 of the technical specifications. The funding information, the GOP to the source of funding as indicated below for fiscal year 2022 in the amount of 5,250,000. The source of funding is the corporate operating budget. For the bidding requirements, the project shall be governed by all the provisions of RA 9184 and its 2016 revised IRR, including its generic procurement manuals and associated policies, rules, and regulations as the primary source thereof, while the herein clauses shall serve as the secondary source thereof. Any amendments made to the IRR and other GPPB issuances shall be applicable only to the ongoing posting, advertisement, or invitation to bid by the BAC through the issuance of a supplemental bid bulletin. The bidder, by the act of submitting its bid, shall be deemed to have verified and accepted the general requirements of this project, including other factors that may affect the cost, duration, and execution or implementation of the contract, project, or work, and examine all instructions, forms, terms, and project requirements in the bidding documents. The procuring entity as well as the bidders and suppliers shall observe the highest standard of ethics during the procurement and execution of the contract. They or through an agent shall not engage in corrupt, fraudulent, collusive, coercive, and obstructive practices defined under Annex I of the 2016 revised IRR of RA 9184 or other integrity violations in competing for the project. For the eligible bidders, the contracts similar to the project shall be supply and delivery of test and measuring instruments, as stated in the bid data sheet, and must be completed within 7 years prior to the deadline for the submission and receipt of bids. The bidder shall also have an SLCC that is at least one contract similar to the project, the value of which, adjusted to current prices using the PSA's CPI, must be at least equivalent to at least 50% of the ABC. Origin of goods, there is no restriction on the origin of goods other than those prohibited by decision of the UN Security Council taken under Chapter 7 of the Charter of the UN, subject to domestic preference requirements under IPB Clause 18. For subcontracts, the procuring entity has prescribed that subcontracting is not allowed. For clarification and amendment of bidding documents, prospective bidders may request for clarification on and/or interpretation of any part of the bidding documents. Such requests must be in writing and received by the procuring entity, either at its given address or through electronic mail indicated in the invitation to bid, at least 10 calendar days before the deadline set for the submission and receipt of bids. For the documents comprising the bid, eligibility, and technical document, the first envelope shall contain the eligibility and technical documents of the bid, as specified in Section 8, Checklist of Technical and Financial Documents, and in the BDS. For additional instructions under the bid data sheet, letter A, for CAAP Memorandum dated 17 September 2018, regarding disqualification of prospective bidders with pending case against the government in the procurement activities of the CAAP, all prospective bidders shall be required to submit the following. Number 1, a certification under oath attesting that they have no pending case or cases against the government, in addition to the eligibility requirements for bidders as prescribed under the revised implementing rules and regulations of RA 9184. And number 2, legal clearance to be issued by the CAAP Enforcement and Legal Service with respect to the non-pendency of any cases of prospective bidders against the authority. In case of joint venture or JV, each member of the joint venture shall submit the above required documents under BDS Section 10.1A. Letter B, technical brochures or datasheets. Letter C, certificate from original equipment manufacturer as authorized distributor. Bids not complying with the above instructions shall be automatically disqualified. The bidder's SLCC should have been completed within 7 years prior to the deadline for the submission and receipt of bids. If the eligibility requirements or statements, the bids, and all the documents for submission to the BAC are in foreign language other than English, it must be accompanied by a translation in English, which shall be authenticated by the appropriate Philippine Foreign Service Establishment, post, or the equivalent office having jurisdiction over the foreign bidders' affairs in the Philippines. Similar to the required authentication above for the contracting parties to the Apostille Convention, only the translated documents shall be authenticated through an apostille pursuant to GPPB Resolution number 13-2019 dated 23 May of 2019. The English translation shall govern for purposes of interpretation of the bid. For the documents comprising the bid financial component, the second bid envelope shall contain the financial documents for the bid as specified in Section 8, checklist of technical and financial documents. If the bidder claims preference as a domestic bidder or domestic entity, a certification issued by DTI shall be provided by the bidder in accordance with Section 43.1.3 of the 2016 revised IRR of RA 9184. Any bid exceeding the ABC shall not be accepted. For the bid prices, for goods offered from within the procuring entity's country, the price of the goods quoted ex-works, ex-factory, ex-warehouse, ex-showroom, or off the shelves as applicable. And for the bid data sheet, the instructions, the additional info is the price of the goods shall be quoted DDP or delivered duties paid to CAAP, Mia Road, Pasay City, or the applicable international commercial terms for this project. For bid and payment currencies, for goods that the bidder will supply from outside the Philippines, the bid prices may be quoted local currency or tradable currency accepted by the BSP at the discretion of the bidder. However, for purposes of bid evaluation, bids denominated in foreign currencies shall be converted to Philippine currency based on the exchange rate as published in the BSP reference rate bulletin on the day of the bid opening. Payment of the contract price shall be made in Philippine pesos. For the bid security, the bidder shall submit a bid securing declaration or any form of bid security in the amount indicated in the BDS, which shall not be less than the percentage of the ABC in accordance with the schedule in the BDS. The bid and bid security shall be valid until 120 calendar days. Any bid not accompanied by an acceptable bid security shall be rejected by the procuring entity as non-responsive. For the additional instructions in the bid data sheet, the bid security shall be in the form by bid securing declaration or end with the following forms and amounts. Letter A, the amount of not less than 105,000 equivalent to 2% of the ABC. If bid security is in cash, cashier's manager's check, bank draft or guarantee, or a revocable letter of credit. Or letter B, the amount of not less than 262,500 pesos, equivalent to 5% of the ABC, if bid security is in surety bond. For the sealing and marking of bids, Each bidder shall submit one original copy of the first and second components of its bid. The procuring entity may request additional hard copies and/or electronic copies of the bid. However, failure of the bidders to comply with the said request shall not be a ground for disqualification. If the procuring entity allows the submission of bids through online submission or any other electronic means, the bidder shall submit an electronic copy of its bid, which must be digitally signed. An electronic copy that cannot be opened or is corrupted shall be considered non-responsive and thus automatically disqualified. For additional instructions in the bid datasheet, in clause 15, number 1, each and every page thereof shall be initialed by the duly authorized representative of the bidder. Submitted eligibility, technical and financial documents shall be properly marked with index tabs or ear tabs and must be sequentially paginated in accurate order in the form, example, page 3 of 100. Pagination shall be sequential all throughout the documents inside the envelope. Bids not complying with the above instructions shall be automatically disqualified. Each bidder shall submit one copy of the first and second components of its bid. Deadline for submission of bids, the bidder shall submit on the specified date and time and either at its physical address or through online submission as indicated in paragraph 7 of the instruction to bidders. For the opening and preliminary examination of bids, the BAC shall open the bids in public at the time, on the date, and the place, and at the place specified in paragraph 9 of the instruction to bidders. The bidders' representatives who are present shall sign of the invitation to bid. The bidders' representatives who are present shall sign a register evidencing their attendance. In case video conferencing, webcasting, or other similar technologies will be used, attendance or participants shall likewise be recorded by the BAC Secretariat. In case the bids cannot be opened as scheduled due to the justifiable reasons, the rescheduling requirements under Section 29 of the 2016 revised IRR of RA 9184 shall prevail. The preliminary examination of bids shall be governed by Section 30 of the 2016 revised IRR of RA 9184. Domestic preference, the procuring entity will grant a margin of preference for the purpose of comparison of bids in accordance with Section 43.1.2 of the 2016 revised IRR of RA 9184. For the detailed evaluation and comparison of bids, the procuring BAC shall immediately conduct a detailed evaluation of all bids rated passed using non-discretionary pass-fail criteria. The BAC shall consider the conditions in the evaluation of bids under Section 32.2 of the 2016 revised IRR of the RA 9184. If the project allows partial bids, bidders may submit a proposal on any of the lots or items, and evaluation will be undertaken on a per lot or item basis as the case may be. In this case, the bid security as required by ITB Clause 15 shall be submitted for each lot or item separately. For 19.3, the description of the lots or items shall be indicated in Section 7, Technical Specifications. Although the ABCs of these lots or items are indicated in the BDS for purposes of the NFCC computation to Section 23.4.2.6 of the 2016 revised IRR of RA 9184. So for additional instructions in the bid datasheet, partial bid is not allowed. The goods are grouped in a single lot and the lot shall not be divided into sublots for purpose of bidding, evaluation, and contract award. For post-qualification, within a non-extendable period of 5 calendar days from the receipt by the bidder of the notice from the BAC that it submitted the lowest calculated bid, the bidder shall submit its latest income and business tax returns filed and paid through the BIR electronic filing and payment system and other appropriate licenses and permits required by law and stated in the BDS. For the BDS, there is no further instructions. For the signing of the contract, documents covered in Section 37.2 of the 2016 revised IRR of RA 9184 shall form part of the contract. Additional contract documents are indicated in the BDS. For the general conditions of the contract with corresponding special conditions, for the scope of contract, these contracts shall include all such items, although not specifically mentioned, that can be reasonably inferred as being required for its completion, as if such items were expressly mentioned herein. All the provisions of RA 9184 and its 2016 revised IRR, including the generic procurement manual and associated issuances, constitute the primary source for the terms and conditions of the contract, and thus applicable in contract implementation. Written clauses shall serve as the secondary source for the terms and conditions of the contract. For the special conditions, for the delivery terms applicable to the contract are DDP, delivered to CAAP, Mia Road, Pasay City, in accordance with Incoterms. Risk and title will pass from the supplier to the procuring entity upon receipt and final acceptance of the goods at their final destination. Delivery of the goods shall be made by the supplier in accordance with the terms specified in Section 6 Schedule of Requirements. For purposes of this clause, the procuring entity's representative at the project site is Engineer Noel S. Gumayagay, Acting Division Chief, Air Navigation Facilities Maintenance Division. For the incidental services, the supplier is required to provide all of the following services, including additional services, if any, specified in Section 6 of the Schedule of Requirements. Letter A, performance or supervision of on-site assembly and or startup of the supplied goods. Letter B, furnishing of a detailed operations and maintenance manual for its appropriate unit of the supplied goods. Letter C, performance or supervision or maintenance and or repair of the supplied goods for a period of time agreed by the parties, provided that this service shall not relieve the supplier of any warranty obligations under this contract. And letter D, training of the procuring entity's personnel at the supplier's plant and or on-site in assembly, startup, operation, maintenance, and or repair of the supplied goods. The contract price for the goods shall include the prices charged with the supplier for incidental services and shall not exceed the prevailing rates charged to other parties by the supplier for similar services. For the advance payment, in terms of payment, advance payment is not applicable. For the performance security, within 10 calendar days from receipt of the notice of award with the bidder from the procuring entity, but in no case later than prior to the signing of the contract by both parties, the successful bidder shall furnish the performance security in any of the forms prescribed in Section 39 of the 2016 revised IRR of RA 9184. For Clause 4, inspection and tests, stated in the special conditions of the contract are letter A, physical inspection of the delivered equipment and its accessories shall be conducted by representatives from the Air Navigation Service, Supply Division, and supplier or supplier's representative at the ANS Technical Center, CAAP, Mia Road, Pasay City as soon as possible. Letter B, operational tests of the equipment shall be conducted in accordance with CAAP technical specifications and equipment manual. The tests shall be conducted by the supplier's technical representative and witnessed by representatives from the Air Navigation Service after the physical inspection. For the warranty, Warranty for the supplied equipment is 1 year from the date of acceptance by the end user. For the liability of the supplier's liability under this contract shall be as provided by the laws of the Republic of the Philippines. If the supplier is a joint venture, all partners to the joint venture shall be jointly and severally liable to the procuring entity. For the schedule of requirements, for item 1, multi-test instrument calibrator set, complete with the following accessories. Delivery schedule is 180 calendar days. And under item 1 is item 1.1. Ito po yung mga accessories niya. 1 unit high resistance box. For item 1.2, 1 thermocouple and test lead set. 1.3, 1 unit 50 turn current coil. 1.4, 1 unit thermo recorder. 1.5, 1 unit transit case with wheels. And for item 2, current ISO 17025 accredited report of calibration. For the technical specifications, the bidders must state here either comply or not comply against each of the individual parameters of each specification, stating the corresponding performance parameter of the equipment offered. Statements of comply or not comply must be supported by evidence in a bidder's bid and cross-reference to that evidence. Evidence shall be in the form of manufacturer's unamended sales literature and conditional statements of specification and compliance issued by the manufacturer, samples, independent test data, etc. as appropriate. A statement that is not supported by evidence or is subsequently found to be contradicted by the evidence presented will render the bid under evaluation liable for rejection. A statement either in the bidder's statement of compliance or the supporting evidence that is found to be false, either during bid evaluation, post-qualification, or the execution of the contract, may be regarded as fraudulent and render the bidder or supplier liable for prosecution subject to the applicable laws and issuance. So lalagyan po ng ating prospective bidders ng comply or not comply against each of the individual parameters. So for item 1 po, multi-test instrument calibrator set, complete with the following accessories. Ito po yung item 1. For item 2, yung capability niya, capable of calibrating the following test and measuring instruments: analog and digital handheld and bench multimeters up to 6.5 digits, graphical multimeters, current clamp meters, analog and digital handheld and bench oscilloscopes up to 600 MHz bandwidth, thermocouples and resistance meters, and panel meters. Item 3, the multi-test instrument calibrator must be robust design, comes with internal and external protection features that protect it against damage. Item 4, must be automation ready using calibration management software. And item 5, it should be transportable. For the performance characteristics, ito po yung mga ranges or yung mga technical parameters na kailangan. For the direct voltage, 0 to plus or minus 1020 volts. Direct current, 0 to 20.5 amperes. Alternating voltage, 1 millivolt to 1020 volts. 10 hertz to 500 kilohertz. For the alternating current, 29 microampere to 20.5 amperes. 10 hertz to 30 kilohertz. Volt over hertz, 1000 volts at 10 kilohertz or 330 volts at 100 kilohertz. Waveforms, sine, square, triangle, and truncated sine. Resistance is 0 ohm to 1100 mega ohms. Capacitance, 220 picofarad to 110 microfarad. Millifarad, sorry. Power phantom load, 20.9 kilowatt. Phase control, 0.01 degree. Thermocouple, for the source and measure temperature, BCEJ KLNR STU at 10 microvolt per degree Celsius. For the RTD, we have the Platinum PT385-100 ohm, PT3926-100 ohms, PT3916-100 ohms, PT385-200 ohms, PT385-500 ohms, PT385 1000 ohms, PTNI 385-120 ohms, and CU 427 10 ohms. The interfaces required are RS232 and IEEE 488. Phase lock is required. Frequency uncertainty must be less than 2.5 parts per million. External frequency reference is required at 10 megahertz. Oscilloscope calibration function are leveled sine wave from 5 millivolt to 5.5 volts peak to peak maximum. Frequencies 50 kilohertz to 600 kilohertz and 3.5 volts peak to peak maximum to 600 megahertz. Edge rise times of less than 300 picoseconds. Multiple trigger functions, lowest DC, square wave, and timing uncertainty. For the accessories, we have the high resistance box. Ito po yung kanyang range. For the total decade resistance of 100 ohms, required resistance per step is 10 ohms, and accuracy is plus or minus 0.03% plus 2 milliohm. For the total decade resistance of 1 kilo ohms, resistance per step required is 100 ohms with an accuracy of plus or minus 0.03% plus 2 milliohms. For the total decade resistance, 10 kilo ohms, resistance per step required is 1 kilo ohm with an accuracy of plus or minus 0.03%. For the 100 kilo ohm total decade resistance, resistance per step of 10 kilo ohms is required with an accuracy of plus or minus 0.03%. For the total decade resistance of 1 mega ohms, the resistance per step required is 100 kilo ohms and an accuracy of plus or minus 0.03%. For the total decade resistance of 10 mega ohms, the required resistance per step is 1 mega ohms and accuracy of plus or minus 0.03%. For the total decade resistance of 100 mega ohms, the resistance per step required is 10 mega ohms and an accuracy of plus or minus 0.10%. For the total decade resistance of 1 giga ohms, the resistance per step required is 100 mega ohms with an accuracy of plus or minus 0.2%. For the total decade resistance of 10 giga ohms, the resistance per step required is 1 giga ohms and the accuracy is plus or minus 0.5%. For item 2.B, test lead sets and thermocouples, the rated voltage and current of the test leads must be 1000 volts at 10 amperes. So the following are the components of the test leads and thermocouples. For the 50-turn current coil, the number of turns is 50. Maximum current is 11 amperes RMS continuous or 20 amperes RMS for 2 minutes. Maximum duty cycle rating less than 11 amperes, continuous, or if greater than 11 amperes, 2 minutes on, 8 minutes off. The maximum voltage must be 3 volts RMS and must be capable of operating on DC and from 45 to 440 hertz and should not exceed RMS voltage rating. Current output must be DC 45 to 65 hertz, 0 to 20 amperes, and from 65 to 440 hertz, 2.99999 amperes. Uncertainty due to clamp meter or coil interaction must be plus or minus 0.25% of effective output plus 0.5 amperes for toroidal wound current clamps, or plus or minus 0.5% of effective output plus 0.5 amperes for current clamps. The maximum inside diameter of the jaw of the clamp is 1 inch or 2.54 cm. For the temperature and relative humidity meter or logger, number of channels is 2. One channel is for temperature and another for humidity. Measurement range, temperature is 0 to 50 degrees Celsius, while humidity is from 10 to 95% relative humidity. Accuracy for temperature is plus or minus 0.5 degrees Celsius. For humidity must be plus or minus 5% at 25 degrees Celsius or at 50% relative humidity. Measurement resolution, temperature is 0.1 degrees Celsius, for humidity is 1% RH. Recording intervals must be selectable from 1, 2, 5, 10, 15, 20, or 30 seconds, or 1, 2, 5, 10, 15, 20, 30, 60 minutes, for total of 15 choices. It is required must have a load logging capacity of 8,000 readings and recording modes endless, meaning it will overwrite from all this data when recording capacity is full, or one-time method. It will stop recording when the recording capacity is full. For the LCD display items, must be capable of displaying the following modes: measurements, channel 1 only, channel 2 only, or alternating display, the recording status, battery life warning, our measurement range, amount of recorded data, unit of measurement, view temperature and humidity data in graph form, start recording, download data, monitor current readings, and check backup battery. For warranty is 1 year. And for the checklist, for the legal documents, this should be inside the technical component envelope. For the legal documents, required is the valid PhilJEPS registration certificate, platinum, all pages in accordance with section 8.5.2 of the IRR. For the technical documents, the statement of the prospective bidder of all its ongoing government and private contracts, including contracts awarded but not yet started, if any, whether similar or not similar in nature and complexity to the contract to be bid, and statement of the bidder's single largest completed contract, SLCC, similar to the contract to be bid, except under the provisions provided for in sections 23.4.1.3 and 23.4.2.4 of the 2016 revised IRR of RA 9184 within the relevant period as provided in the bidding documents, and original copy of bid security, if in the form of a surety bond, submit also a certification issued by the Insurance Commission, or original copy of notarized bid securing declaration. And E, conformity with the technical specifications, which may include production delivery schedule, manpower requirements, and or after sales or parts if applicable, and letter F, duly signed omnibus sworn statements, and if applicable, original notarized secretary certificate in case of a corporation, partnership, or cooperative, or original special power of attorney of all members of the joint venture, giving full power and authority to its officer to sign the omnibus sworn statement and do acts to represent the bidder. Letter G, legal clearance to be issued by the CAAP enforcement and legal service with respect to the non-pendency of any cases of prospective bidders against the authority. Letter H, certification under oath attesting that they have no pending case against the government, in addition to the eligibility requirements for bidders as prescribed under the revised implementing rules and regulations of RA 9184. Bid bulletin, if applicable, technical brochures or data sheets, and certificate from original equipment manufacturer as authorized distributor. For the financial documents, the prospective bidder's computation of net financial contracting capacity, NFCC, or a committed line of credit from a universal or commercial bank in lieu of its NFCC computation. For Class B documents, if applicable, a duly signed joint venture agreement in case the joint venture is already in existence, or duly notarized statements from all the potential joint venture partners stating that they will enter into and abide with the provisions of the JVA in the instance that the bid is successful. For other documentary requirements, if applicable, for foreign bidders claiming by reason of their country's extension of reciprocal rights to Filipinos, certification from the relevant government office of their country stating that Filipinos are allowed to participate in government procurement activities for the same item or product. Letter O, certification from the DTI if the bidder claims preference as a domestic bidder or domestic entity. And for the financial component envelope, original of duly signed and accomplished financial bid form, and letter B, original of duly signed and accomplished price schedule or price schedules. So that's it, Mr. Chair. We now come to the discussion or clarification if the prospective bidders have questions.
Any questions from our prospective bidders? Uh, anyway, to our prospective bidders, please be informed that you have 10 calendar days before the opening of bids to submit your written questions or clarifications po. But meantime, the end user and the technical working group is now ready to accept questions po from your end po. Any questions from our bidders, prospective bidders? If there is none, seeing none, Mr. Chair, the technical working group is now recommending to close this item, sir, and for us to move to the next item.
I have a question,
Yes, sir.
Attorney. How many prospective bidders do we have right now?
We have one bangka. What? Only one, sir.
So only one.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And there is no question. Ano? Alright. Sige, so what's the next item?
I think, sir.
Okay. There is
we
a...
have-
uh,
Yes, sir. Sheshe would like to be recognized, sir.
go ahead.
Apology for the name, sir. I'm Charlene Gavona from Presidium PH, sir. I would like to have some clarification about the NFCC, sir. For the formula, is it times 10 or times 15, sir?
Engineer Florian, please.
For a while, sir. Ma'am, it's times 15. It's the current asset minus current liabilities times 15.
And thank you so much, Sir Florian, for that. Also, for the legal clearance, sir, is it actually we've already acquired that last time. We could use that still, right, sir?
If I may respond to that, ma'am, for as long as it is still valid, the
Mm-hmm.
legal clearance coming from the ELS po, meron po siyang validity period po. Pwede pa rin po
Yeah.
siyang gamitin for as long as it is valid po.
Yes, thank you so much, Sir Frank. Lastly, sir, is it possible to have templates for example, the SLCC or the certification under oath for no pending case, or just the general for the government bidding, sir?
Ma'am, for the forms, we have attached forms sa bidding documents po, while the other documents, if we do not attach a specific form for that, then it can be a general statement or a general compliance.
And one last thing, sir. For this rebid, should we order another or pay another bid form, or
Ma'am, if you have already purchased a bid documents in a previous bidding, you participated in a previous bidding po, no need to purchase a new uh, bid documents. Just send the official receipt na lang po dito sa PAC Secretariat po.
understood, sir? Thank you so much for this po, Sir Frank, and
Welcome.
good share.
Thank you, ma'am.
No
So,
more question?
I think that would be all, sir, from our prospective bidder.
All right.
So,
So, what's next?
sir, recommending to close this item, sir, and we proceed with item 3.1.
Okay.
Secretariat, please kindly remove the prospective bidder in our meeting room. Sir, the next item is item 3.1.